Mr. Mandar, what is the role of administration in nipping the bud of communal violence or in controlling the violence, communal violence?
You want me to speak in English?
Yeah.
I have worked for many years in the civil service, in the Indian Administrative Service. I've handled riots directly, and after I left them, I've worked a lot with survivors and have studied many riots. I'm completely convinced that any government and any administration is fully empowered by the law and with resources to control any riot of any scale within a few hours. I mean, to be a very large riot, even if one says 24 hours is the limit, I think even 24 hours is too much. But the law enables an administration to control a riot within 24 hours or less. And if any riot goes on for longer than a few hours, and it goes on for days, it goes on for weeks, you can be completely certain that it is done with the active complicity of the state administration. The duties of the state administration, you were asking, really start with prevention. So, and if you want me to give examples of Muzaffarnagar, I can keep illustrating it with Muzaffarnagar if you like, since your report is on Muzaffarnagar. Yes? Should I do that?
Right, yes.
So let us take Muzaffarnagar and let me illustrate the various stages of what is administration's duty is and what it did not do in Muzaffarnagar. The first is prevention. Now in Muzaffarnagar, we find that in rural Muzaffarnagar, there has never been a communal clash between the Jats and the Muslims living there ever. Not in 1947, not when the Babri Masjid tensions happened, never. Now, the riot, people who were interested in the riot went there and spread rumors, created a kind of hatred, and the rumors were built around, that there's love jihad happening, that Muslim boy, and in that whole incident, where it was actually just a clash between two young boys in a motorcycle accident belonging to different communities. Giving that a very emotive color of an attack in the way that they did an attack by stalking by Muslim boys of Jat girls and so on, and then and the false video from Pakistan that was circulated. All of this rumor mongering and hatred could have easily been nipped in the bud right in the beginning by placing the facts, doing an immediate investigation. In one day they would have found out that this is not the reality. They could have done the investigation. They should have informed the public. The people who were spreading rumors, now with social media it's actually easier to identify. We know, for instance, the MLA who had placed that false video was arrested almost 20 days, 25 days later, long after the violence was over, and he had done his mischief. So those are the kinds of preventive steps that the state administration should have done. So the first duty is prevention. The second duty is control. And what I said earlier, that the state is equipped with full authority and powers and resources to control. So here what happened in Muzaffarnagar was that we have no evidence, anywhere, that when the Mahapanchayat was organized, again they should not have allowed the Mahapanchayat. Once it happened, people started going out and attacking the Muslim settlements. We have no evidence that force was used by the local police to disperse the mobs. No lathi charge, no firings, no police firings. There's no data whatsoever, with no evidence that this was done. So no steps were taken to control the violence once it happened. Third duty is and to call in the army. The army was called in after lapse of time, but very significantly, the army was not asked to intervene. It was only the marches were done, but they were not given the authority to use force and control the violence. Then the third duty is rescue. Is that people should be immediately, once violence is broken out, people, women, children, people who are worried and frightened should be picked up and taken to a safe space. Again, that did not happen. We have, people in fact tell us that they ran, almost 50,000 people ran. And it was largely that there's some Muslim villages where, the few Muslim villages where they are strong as landowners, and upper caste Muslims, Jat Muslims and Rajput Muslims as they call themselves. Those people came with licensed guns and they protected the people. This was the duty of the state.
Right.
The next duty of the state is relief. And relief camps are supposed to be run by the state here. Instead, people went into these Muslim majority villages. They made their own camps in the madrasas. The government for a very long time took no role. We went about a week after the violence. Even then, the only thing they were doing was supplying some rations. That also very late. But there was no presence or visible presence of the administration. And then you have rehabilitation and resettlement.
Right. There are clear signs of political conspiracy behind Muzaffarnagar violence. In that context, if we put the appointment of Amit Shah of Gujarat as the UP head of BJP, so how do you draw comparisons between Gujarat 2002 and Muzaffarnagar 2013?
See, they're very interesting comparisons because I have in my study of riots, for communal violence to break out, mass communal violence to break out, you need three things to happen. The first is the manufacture of hatred, systematic manufacture of hatred. And that is the role that Mr. Amit Shah seems to have played here. The RSS, communal organizations played here. They played where you spread falsehoods and rumors to create hatred against a particular community. That's the first step. The second step is the creation. First I said was creation of hatred. The second is the organizing of the violence itself. So having the Mahapanchayat, the people were equipped, they went out, they went and did the attacks. This was all planned. In Gujarat, of course, it was a very large planning, but the evidence was clear. In fact, in 1984 is another case where you see planned. And the third is requirement for a violence is a complicit state.
Right.
And you see, as I have already described, the many ways that the state did not perform its duty. And because of these three, you see these three elements in Gujarat and you see the three elements in Muzaffarnagar. In fact, you see these three elements in any major incident of mass violence. I have found them consistently. The big difference, let me say, I think that one thing that has happened after 2002, because of the whole legal, action that has been taken, it is continuing to pursue, that killing large numbers of people will cause you trouble. So instead, I've seen the Assam violence and now the Muzaffarnagar violence is following a different pattern, where the number of deaths is much smaller, but the loss of property and the displacement is much higher. So all of Gujarat, there were about 2 lakh people in relief camps. Here in just one district, which is now divided into 2, there are 50,000 people. In Assam, there were 5 lakh people, 500,000 people. So this very large number of people being displaced and terrorized to moving into rural areas, moving people out. And now they're too frightened to come back. And so especially in villages where Muslim households are of a small number and they are landless and they're poor, they may not return. And so you're doing an ethnic cleansing in a sense. That is the new strategy that I'm seeing.
Like in Gujarat, just one minute. Like in Gujarat, in Muzaffarnagar also, several women's bodies were used to terrorize the community. So what would be the legal way out for complete justice to the victims?
No, I see about sexual violence in the time when I had gone on my fact-finding committee, we didn't have anyone who gave us this evidence. But some evidence of that is coming forward now. People are speaking out. It is very difficult for victims of sexual violence to speak out. What the administration, and one of the things the administration should have done, if it was really concerned about the survivors, is to go to the relief camps themselves and to actually actively register people's complaints there. And if they did that, and they also sat separately with the women police officers who registered their complaints in an active, proactive way, that is where it starts. But I again saw no evidence of that happening as well.
Sir, brief one question. You have been a civil servant for last several decades, in fact.
2 decades, I guess.
2 decades. Do you think there are clear proofs of lack of political will on the part of both ruling and opposition parties to formulate laws to check the communal violence bill in the country?
No, absolutely. I mean, I was part of the National Advisory Council, and along with Farhan Naqvi, I convened the group which drafted the communal violence bill. What are we trying to do in the communal violence bill? Most importantly is to create a new crime which is called dereliction of duty by public officials with command responsibility, which means that if government official whose duty it is to prevent the violence, to control, do all the things that I've spoken about, does not do their duty, that is recognized to be a crime. And with command responsibility means not just that officer, but whoever has commanded that person is also, whether it's a minister, chief minister, whoever, it becomes criminally liable. And then the other part is to have national duties of relief and rehabilitation, that the government has to do these things. If these two things were in place, Muzaffarnagar would not have happened. And it is the only way we can prevent it. And I am saddened by the fact that the UPA government, although NEC chairperson has forwarded it to the government, they have not found the political will yet to pass it.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you very much. Shukriya.